Hey, hey,
Hey,
everybody.
everybody.
Welcome to the Beantown Beatdown.
Matthew Burris.
James Thomas.
And we're here. We got some drinks. We're back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, of course, the name of our episode is called We're Moving On to Cincinnati because, once again, we lost to Kansas City.
Oh.
Yep, we are 10-3. So I heard we have like 3 games left in the regular season, I think. So that means for the next 3 games, we really got to win these.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise we could see ourselves out of playoff contention. Not ready to hit the panic button, but we definitely got to win against Buffalo.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it's just like Bill Belichick said. Yeah, it's kind of ironic because the last time we did. Because the last time they lost to Kansas City, they moved on to Cincinnati and won, and of course that led to that. Cheers. That famous Bill Belichick soundbite. We're moving on to Cincinnati.
Okay.
But coach, what about the what about the team? Is a team? I mean, what happened? And he goes, we're moving on to Cincinnati.
So there we go. We're doing it again. Moving on to Cincinnati.
Well, anybody who knows Bill Belichick, he doesn't look in the past. He doesn't look in the future. He just focuses on what's right ahead of him. So,
yep, indeed.
That's right in front of him, Cincinnati. And we're going to focus on what's in front of us right now. A lot of news happened while we were on the Thanksgiving break.
Indeed.
Well, first and foremost, the return of Conor McGregor.
Woo!
Yep, January 18th, he will be back fighting in the UFC. He's going up against Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Cerrone has been on a 2-fight losing streak, and this is Conor McGregor's first fight in the UFC since losing to Khabib. And a lot has happened, and there's a lot of questions. I mean, it's going to be a draw. It's going to pack in a lot of money as far as the gate and pay-per-view wise. But the big question is how good will Conor McGregor be?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think he really should be something. He really should, pack a punch if he's gonna come back after everything, last year.
Well, yeah, but there's cage rust, and and the thing is, he's been off, retiring, unretiring, getting in trouble with the law.
Yep.
And then he's his whiskey brand is actually doing pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I haven't tried it because I don't like brown liquor, but but even still, it's. There's just a lot to take in. I mean, Cerrone, even though he's been on a 2-fight losing streak, he's still been in the cage fighting.
Right, exactly.
He's been working, and Conor can train you can train in the gym all you want, but it's a matter of what happens when you get out there in front of the audience and you're against an opponent who's gonna come at you full blast. It's not sparring.
Yeah, exactly, and I like how you say cage rust. That's the perfect way, to put it, because you do get completely rusty,
There's ring rust and there's cage rust.
Okay, good. Because you do get completely rusty, and you're off your game, and he's basically been more in the news for like his hijinks and his fighting and whatever, his street fighting than his actual fighting. You know what I mean?
Well, well, yeah, and hopefully, and just the antics and stuff like that, and I mean, hopefully, he can get a win, and this could put him back in title contention and stuff like that. I mean, because the UFC at the end of the day, it's a business, and plus he went on that rant about wanting to own the UFC and stuff, and it's we talked about this in an early episode. It's like, I mean, of course, I've said this before. When it comes to other businesses like this, whether it's the UFC, the NFL, Disney, NBC, not everybody gets the gold watch at the end. Just because you've worked someplace, that doesn't mean like, oh, we have to take care of you for the rest of your life, and you should always have a job here in the company.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's totally true.
Man, but by the way, you sound a little stuffed up there. Are you okay?
Yeah. I actually told you this. I told you didn't hear me. I literally said I've been pushing back a cold.
Oh, okay. What percent are you at?
I'm a lot better now. I almost lost the battle yesterday at work, but now around 30, 40, 35.
Okay, but if I get now, just so you know, because we have plans for New Year's Eve. If I get sick before Christmas, I'm blaming you.
All right then.
Okay.
You get scoot there.
All right. In other news today, Anthony Joshua regained the heavyweight championship over the weekend, the WBA and IBF and WBO title.
Yep.
Beating Andy Ruiz and Andy Ruiz Jr. And there's a lot of talk now, like where's the heavyweight division? Because, there's still talks of Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua. That's another fight everybody wants to see. And then there's also the talk of Ruiz Jr. versus Joshua 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, like Ruiz, he pulled off the Buster Douglas upset, knocking him out, and then the rematch, Joshua, sticked and moved, and of course, dragged him to the 12 rounds and won on a 12-round unanimous decision. So now, and of course, Tyson Fury is considered the legitimate heavyweight champion. So it's a matter of now, come 2020, what's going to happen with the heavyweight division? What fights are we going to see?
Yeah, exactly. We've talked about this before on the show, like what's next year going to look like, and yeah, totally,
Well, exactly. It's it's a matter of in boxing. I mean, we always hear the phrase "anything can happen in boxing," and anything can and always will.
Yeah,
and
it does happen in boxing.
Well, yeah, because it's always the political stuff. It's always like, well, this fighter is with that promotion, and that promotion's on that TV station, and our promotion is with this TV station. So we can't do a deal, and really, it's robbing the fans of a great fight.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly, and I've said before, I don't know why the rematch system is so complicated. I mean, I kind of do, because different fighters move on to different levels and whatever. But
no, it's because it's also a matter of money and also if there's a rematch clause, and stuff like that. They have to work that out. It's a very complicated and very political game in boxing. And again, that's why we don't have a. I mean, it took a while for us to get Gennady Golovkin versus Canelo Alvarez Part 2, and then and now we're trying to get Part 3. But Alvarez has moved up to light heavyweight, and he's the light heavyweight champion now. Golovkin, I think, is still at middleweight, and it's but we want to see a third fight because one fight ended in a draw, one fight ended in a decision for Canelo, and we need a third fight, to decide once and for all who is the best.
Right, exactly, and that's the thing. Like you said, stuff like this, it leaves the fans hanging, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And it really does, because they the fans want the legacy, want the question of who's going to come out on top. That's what the fans want.
Oh yeah, it completes it. Like Bo Holyfield, we're talking about heavyweights. I mean, Bo and Holyfield, that was a legacy fight. Tyson Holyfield, Tyson Lewis, Ali Frazier, those were legacy fights. Yeah, those were those trilogies, rematches, those fights determined who was the best.
Right.
And right now in the heavyweight division, we have 1, 2, 4 fighters claiming to be the best heavyweight champion. And of course, we all know the heavyweight champion is considered the baddest man on the planet.
Right.
So right now, by the going into 2020, before 2020 ends, we need to know who is the baddest man walking God's green earth right now.
Yeah, that's a good
in terms
point.
of boxing.
That's a good fucking point, and that's the whole thing,
Exactly, and hopefully by 2020, something good will happen, and we'll finally get the fights that we want.
Right, exactly.
All right, and now we're gonna move on to the deep dive. So
deep dive. All right,
take it away.
All right. So I was just reading that Russia has actually been penalized for the whole doping scandal.
Oh yeah, I read about this on the way here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let me bring up the article so we can get really accurate here, but yeah, they've been told to Russia banned from the Olympics and global sports for 4 years.
So now they say that the next Summer Olympics. So that means, well, they're in this year's Summer Olympics, but the next one in 2024, they're out, right?
Right, exactly. So including next summer. Yeah, exactly. So including so this one says that top anti-doping authorities did it. They banished Russia from international competition. This says including next summer's Olympic Games in Tokyo for 4 years. But I had seen something that said like they might possibly be able to be in next summer. But
okay, so this summer, 2020, where are the Olympics taking place?
Apparently Tokyo.
Oh, yeah. So they're out of Tokyo. So they won't be in Tokyo.
They won't be in Tokyo. Yeah,
2020. Yeah.
Russia's flag name and anthem will not be allowed in the Tokyo Games next summer or Beijing Winter Olympics in 2022, though the competitive effects may be minimal. Anyway, so yeah, so this is I mean it is a good. I do feel bad for the players that weren't involved, and they say that some of them might not be affected. But yeah, this is a good consequence for for those that were really cheating the system for not for their team, for their own glory.
Well, yeah, it really puts Russia in a bad light. I mean, there's always been these rumors that the Russians, they cheat and stuff like that.
Right.
But now it just makes it even 2 times worse. But there are some Russian athletes who have not done anything wrong, and
exactly.
And now the country as a whole, all those athletes who want to represent their country, who are looking forward to, going to the Olympics and maybe turning pro in whether it be basketball or track and field or boxing, it's like now, or even in wrestling, because Russians, they're known for their wrestling, great, Greco-Roman wrestlers, and now, that now they're being punished, and now their careers and their livelihood, they just got fucked.
Yeah, indeed. So I mean, it is for 4 years, and you could say it's not for that long. Officials, anti-doping organization known as WADA said the punishment might be too lax because it left open the possibility that hundreds of Russian athletes, including some who may have been complicit in the doping cover-up, will appear in Tokyo. So it said before that they can't be represented, but I guess individual athletes can appear and like cheer on whatever country they choose.
Yeah, and it's just it's really a shame, and plus we're in the midst of the the Trump and Vladimir Putin thing, the scandal, the impeachment thing. This just makes Russia look absolutely terribly bad.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing I was gonna say is that yeah, I don't want to get involved in like the whole I don't want to get involved in in like a red scare or whatever, because I don't agree that that like Russia's behind everything, or like just because Russia likes something means that it's bad. Like I don't want to get involved in that, but I do understand the concerns about Russia meddling in our election, which they clearly did, and about stuff like this, doping in their sports. But yeah, part of the other, when some people say like, oh, well, this candidate is favored by Russia, therefore they must be bad. That's where I draw the line, because also a lot of peaceful candidates are actually favored by Russia because they don't want an escalation between us, two of the major superpowers on Earth. They don't want to have another Cold War. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, they don't. And there are some Russians that actually don't like Vladimir Putin.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I'm pretty sure there are Russians that would give up their left leg just to come to America.
Yeah. Exactly. Indeed. And yeah, that's the other thing we have to. I think that's something else. Just kind of bring it into the world of like leaders and politics and whatever. I think that's something else that we understand here in America. We understand. A lot of us don't like Trump, but I would say most of us, don't like Trump. So there's always about half the country, or more or less, whatever, that don't like the current president. So, so it's like we don't want them to judge us based on our president, our current president, and and especially now we don't want the rest of the world to judge us, because it has very bad implications, but now, but like also, so now we should realize that when we're talking about like other countries and their presidents and their leaders, we shouldn't assume that the Russians are in line, even though they have very good propaganda there, and they do make their citizens believe things. Not all of them, their citizens, believe it, or and like it, and just like we don't want the rest of the world to judge us like, oh, do you like Trump? Do you agree with Trump? We should be judging them based on their president or their leader.
Yeah, exactly. And because I do know one thing. It's going to make for an interesting 2020, because 2020, this is an Olympic year, and also this is also an election year as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's very interesting that they actually align most of the time, I think.
Well, yeah, summer Olympics and the election, presidential election.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it is kind of interesting. So we're on the international. I guess we're kind of on the international stage in both senses. We are on the international stage in who we elect as president, but that's a internal matter in a way, but it does affect the rest of the world. And we're on the international stage, with the Olympics as well, with all the athletes of the world.
Well, yeah, exactly. But and it's kind of a shame too, because it's like because the Olympics, it's one of those things where you just want to focus on the games. You want to focus on the athletes. It's supposed to be feel-good moments.
Yes, exactly.
And it's like now it's being. But then when you involve politics, and then steroids, and
it's getting very dark. Sorry, I'm gonna.
Yeah. We need some light here. Yeah. Oh, we got a little bit of light. It looks okay.
Yeah.
But because the summer games, because also they say that they're putting karate in as an Olympic sport, which is great.
Yeah.
And also, we have, for me also, it's also, being a basketball fan, it's the dream team, and, the NBA basketball and stuff. And so, I mean, hopefully LeBron will play this year. Please get we need the best players.
Exactly.
We need the best USA players on there. I mean, the last time it was good. We had Carmelo, which was really but we need Carmelo. We need LeBron. We need we need Kevin Durant. We need Kevin Durant.
Yes.
Kyrie Irving, Kemba Walker. We need the big guns in there for the Olympics.
Indeed. And that's the other thing, putting your best foot forward. Put your best foot forward, your best athletes forward, especially again on the world stage, so anyway, so it is, so I understand your concerns with bringing politics in, but then stuff like this is something that is really, those that were involved have really, really undermined the entire, the entire agreement of sports and of these athletes. They undermined it with these doping scandals, so that's why there does have to be consequences for this,
Yeah, absolutely. There has to be consequences for this, I mean, but it's just that I want there to be consequences, but I don't want all the athletes who have not done doping to be punished either.
Yes, exactly. And that's a hard line. That's a hard line to walk. I kind of do agree with, like, that I read more. I do agree with that individual athletes can go. I think they shouldn't be they shouldn't be like banned from from going and again cheering on another country that they choose. They should be banned from that. And then and then I kind of want to extend more olive branches or whatever, more rights to these athletes. But then again, if you're too lax with it, then the people that are responsible, can also take advantage of that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Because I think it's not really an Olympics until like all countries are in. Like, for example, it's like, well, I kind of take it into like, well, I don't know if you heard, but the Pussycat Dolls are, had their reunion and
Oh
they're
yeah.
going on a reunion tour. It's like, well, the one member that's not in there, Melody Thornton, the one that was on Dancing with the Stars, she's not part of the reunion. And I mean, the girls have said like, well, the door is always open for her to come back, and and in fact, Melody, when she was asked about this during like when she was getting ready for Dancing with the Stars, she says like, well, I'm not the same person, I'm not the same at 35, and plus I think a reunion might be disastrous. But the X Factor thing, I mean, over here in the States, it's been like, wow, it's like, damn, some of those
Yeah.
girls, they still got, especially the one, oh, I forget her name, but she was the one that used to do like the one where we stick her leg up in the air, the blonde chick.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just like
Yeah.
now, I mean, and it's like, yeah, it's a Pussycat Dolls reunion, but it's like Melody's not there.
Right.
Kind of like, okay, it's a Spice Girls reunion, but Victoria, Posh Spice isn't there.
Right. Exactly. And that's a good point. That's a good point. You do need all the pieces for to have like the original mojo. Uh, but life happens, and I think there was something else that was a reunion tour recently. Oh well, yeah, I think was it? Is it? Aren't other members of Queen still alive, and weren't they doing the performance?
Oh yeah. I remember like years ago. Yeah, like several years ago, they did a reunion tour, and then they added
With Adam Lambert instead
yeah,
being the guy instead of Freddie Mercury, because of course Freddie Mercury, the man, the legend, is gone. It has been for years. But but yeah. So in that circumstance, you got to have someone else step in because because you can't otherwise. You know what I mean? But I do understand what you mean about if there's a big piece missing, then that it's not as good. It's not the same thing.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but but I think if anybody that can, I mean, not to replace, Freddie Mercury, but if there was anyone that could come as close to filling in those shoes, it'd probably be Adam Lambert.
Exactly. That's actually what I was gonna say. I was gonna say that I think he is really good replacement. He is in the same spirit, which is nice to find.
Oh yeah, or better yet, maybe Lady Gaga could have filled that role too.
Right, exactly. Kind of an interesting thing. That would be a very big twist. And normally I'm all for that. Like let's have a woman do it, but it's like I think there is something about having I don't know. I wouldn't feel the same way about Gaga doing it.
Well, yeah, it's kind of also like like when like in the 2000s, like early mid 2000s, they were talking about like an NWA reunion because like Cube, Ren, and Dre, and they thought about adding Snoop to it. And then they said like they wanted an NWA album. There was talks about that, and but Q, he said it in the his VH1 behind the music thing. He said like, look, we put it to rest because nobody would accept it as NWA without Easy.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could put Snoop in there because Snoop is part of like that, that family tree, being discovered by Dre and Death Row and shit.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not easy. It's not, and it wouldn't. It's really not NWA. Yeah, you could add Yella, you could add Red, Cube, and Dre, and even if you put someone in place of Eazy, they really wouldn't accept it as NWA because like Eazy's not there.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah, exactly. So same thing with the Olympics. I mean, it'll still be the Olympics. It's like
Yeah.
because the Olympics at the end of the day, I mean, as much as they are for amateur sports, they are a business, and it's like,
Yeah.
One country not being in the Olympics doesn't stop it. I mean,
it doesn't. And the other thing, the difference I would say there is also, you're talking about the difference of one person out of, four, one person out of five, one person out of eight. That's one thing. But so yes, I understand that in that respect, each one is really important, and that's the whole thing. But like this is one country out of how many? 200. So
well, yeah, exactly.
so it is a very different thing. So yes, it will still indeed be the Olympics.
Yeah, and of course, for the Olympics, we will also be covering the Olympics as well.
Yep.
We are gonna, come Olympic time, we're gonna have like subjects talking about the Olympics, in the summertime and stuff like that.
All right.
Just to let you guys know. So we're gonna be going till like 1:30 ish, or like because it's like 12:56 right now.
Yeah. No, we gotta end by 1:30. Period.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we've pretty much said all we have to say about that. But
Yeah.
I guess we could go before we go into. Well, I guess we can go into some random shit. Like, for example, did you see Saturday Night Live this Saturday? I meant to tell you about that.
Oh yeah, actually I did. J-Lo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god! And when she had on the dress, I was like, yes! Oh man, yes.
Exactly. Yeah. I saw quite a bit of it, but I did. I was home like I don't remember at 11ish, so I didn't quite catch everything. But
yeah, I mean, of course she wore it on there the last time she hosted Saturday Night Live too.
Right.
And I mean, Jennifer Lopez. I mean, she is actually one of the best. I mean, I think she's also one of the best. I mean, when she hosted it the one time that I saw it, it was just like, oh man, she was amazing.
Yeah.
And she was amazing too. I mean, especially the opening monologue, she was just flawless.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I missed that one.
Oh, really? The one with the Rockets? Oh.
Wait, are you talking about this last time or before?
This last.
Oh no, no. I came in like 15, 20 minutes in.
At least tell me. Oh, so that means you probably missed Weekend Update. Did you miss Weekend Update when they did the Weekend Update? Or
No. I think I saw that.
Oh yeah. Weekend Update was actually pretty good. Pretty good too, and also it should be very interesting this Saturday because Scarlett Johansson is going to be on there.
Oh yes, I heard.
Yeah, and
I'm
also
about that.
Colin Just, who does Weekend Update and stuff
Just.
Yeah, Colin Just, like he's engaged to Scarlett, so it's gonna be interesting to see what's gonna happen there.
Okay. Isn't that interesting? Actually, these these SNL guys, they've got some really good ladies. Justin and Scarlett Johansson and Pete Davidson and Ariana.
Pete Davidson. It's been like it's been Ariana, then it's been Kate Beckinsale. It's
right.
like I mean, like Pete Davidson. He comes off as a nice guy and stuff like that. It's just that he's had he's just run shit out of luck when it comes to women and stuff.
Yeah.
And but it should be. Oh well, Scarlett Johansson. She's hosted Saturday Night Live plenty of times. I mean, she's been on there with when she was married with Ryan Reynolds. In fact, Ryan was on there when Will Ferrell hosted it.
Oh yeah.
Before the Thanksgiving break and
right.
And well, Ryan Reynolds, he's always been like a Saturday Night Live favorite, whether it's been hosting or making cameo appearances. It's like
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's the thing about Saturday Night Live. It's like you can always tell who's like their favorite. Like the ones who've hosted before, the ones who they really like. Like they'll really bring back for like cameos and and shit. Like Ashton Kutcher was kind of in that mold for a while too.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's Ryan Reynolds. Then
and
then
is of course the five time club as well. Those hosts.
Yeah, the 5 times, 6 times.
Yeah, I forget who it was that did a whole song, a whole number about that it was his 5 time and he's now in the 5 time club.
Yeah, Justin.
Yeah.
Even Justin Timberlake too. It's like even when Justin isn't hosting, like he'll make cameo appearances and and shit like that. So
yeah, totally.
yeah, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing Scarlett this weekend, and also and then the weekend after that, it's Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's hosting.
Okay.
Yeah, always good to see Eddie Murphy. Going back to his SNL roots, and you think he'll do the buckwheat thing, and
right, probably just a shout out for the old style fans.
Yeah, my favorite skit was the one. I don't know. Did you, or better yet, do you think he'll do the Gumby? You think he'll do the Gumby skit?
Oh wow, I forgot about that.
I am Gumby, damn it!
I forgot all about that. Yeah.
Yeah, making Gumby a Jewish person. Yeah.
Very funny.
Yeah, and well, my favorite skit was the one he did of a Jamaican singer. He said, "We will kill the white people. We will make them mad. Kill the white people, but buy my record first." Yeah, and also the music.
Let's just step out for a sec.
Okay. Also, the musical guest is Lizzo, by the way.
Oh yeah, Lizzo.
Yep. Yep. Lizzo is gonna be the musical guest, so definitely looking forward to that. That's gonna be like the last episode before the before the holidays. So I don't think we'll see another SNL episode after that until like maybe mid-January or late January. Sorry, there, just burped. And of course, Lizzo, she's got just a big old ass. Oh man, Lizzo's got a big old ass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned this almost every time, I can tell.
Oh yeah, I follow her on Instagram. It's
exactly.
like
what is she saying? I'm a bitch. I need 10.
Oh yeah, she is.
Her and Missy. Oh man.
Oh yeah, exactly. Also, speaking of women with big asses, have you seen Marriott Weaver in the Netflix limited series Unbelievable?
I've seen the promos for it, but no.
I binge watched it yesterday. No, the weekend. Over the weekend.
Yeah.
And Marriott Weaver, of course, we all know her from Nurse Jackie. She was she was Edie Falco's friend and partner as a nurse, and she was also on New Girls too when she was dating Schmidt.
Oh, okay,
yeah, she was one of those girls.
Okay.
And let me tell you, she's also in Scarlett Johansson's movie Marriage Story on Netflix. Laura Dern.
I don't know that one.
Oh, I'm really surprised. Because it's a good movie.
Okay.
But she plays Scarlett Johansson's sister.
Okay.
And let me tell you something, man. She is gorgeous. I've always liked her ever since Nurse Jackie.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, actually, yesterday I was watching like the season finale of Watchmen on HBO, and I fell asleep. But I had this. The thing is, I just saw those episodes on a few of those episodes, and I had this dream that I was in a forest, like a
dirty dream again.
Yeah, I was in a rainforest, and I was naked, and she was there naked, and she's like sitting down, like she's at the top of a hill or something, and she goes, "Hey," she goes, "Come here." And we sat down, and we were like we're just looking at the forest and the rainbows and the trees and butterflies and all that stuff. And then we started we just started making out, and we were just we just started having sex. But it wasn't like rough, dirty sex. It was more like, it was more like, love making and passion type of, type of sex. Oh yeah, man. And plus she's got those, have you ever seen her lips too? Like those big lips.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got those, it's almost lips like the Tyler family lips.
Right.
Yeah, Mila. Mila Tyler. Let's see, Mila Tyler, Liv Tyler, and
yes.
Why am I blanking out on the name? Aerosmith.
Oh,
Steven Tyler. Yeah. Steven Tyler. Yeah. Yeah, their lips
that would
enter.
explain his lips as well. But yeah, that's right. I've always been. I was always been Tyler. The Hobbit, obviously, and One Night at the Pool.
What about Armageddon? And,
Oh
like,
yeah.
Maul,
I forgot that was her. Yeah, exactly. Armageddon.
Yeah, but that's the thing about, and also the Aerosmith videos she was in with her dad. That's the thing. The Tyler's lips is like, their lips are so big they enter a room before they do. But of course, when their lips enter, you got to make sure it's like the right Tyler, because if it's Steven Tyler, it's just like, oh shit, Steven's here, hide the wives. Yeah, I like. Yeah, because if Steven Tyler enters a room with your family, I guarantee you he's going to be trying to kiss on your mom.
Oh God.
I wonder how would your dad take that?
Not well.
Yeah, his dad would be like, "Hey, you get the off mic, get on there, she's mine." Well, I don't know. Well, I know that your dad doesn't have the Jewish accent. How would he take it? Like, well, you being your dad, like, how would you be? His response be?
Okay, good. Time to leave. Time to leave. He'd be pushing him towards the door.
Yeah, he's like, dude looks like a lady. Dream on. He's like, yeah. Dream on out there.
Dream on. I'll whip out my wife and leave.
Yes. Yeah. So there we go. And now we're getting into our last segment. Which current professional wrestlers would make a great MMA fighter? And I asked this because what's his name? Alberto Del Rio had a fight over the weekend against Tito Ortiz for Combate America, and he lost to Tito Ortiz. Tito Ortiz won, and even though it's good to see Tito win, it's like I really do wish Tito would just retire. I mean, he's got enough money and stuff, but I mean, I heard him on an interview he said like, well, I don't feel like I'm done with fighting, and stuff like that, because he said he asked Randy Couture, he said, hey, listen, what made you at 40 come out of retirement for the UFC heavyweight championship? And he says, well, I felt like I wasn't done. He says, like, and Tito was like, yeah, I feel like that way too. It's like, I feel like I'm not done fighting. I mean, of course, we'll never see him in the UFC because him and Dana have this, it's off again, on again relationship. Of course, it's sort of like in between. It's like it's a relationship, but it's strained.
Yeah.
But then, and then also, there was also this lady who wrestles for NWA. She had a fight too. I mean, like independent MMA promotion, and she lost. I forget her name right now. I'm a little drunk. But and of course you have Jake Hager who fights in Bellator, and even though he's still with he's with AEW, but he still fights for Bellator.
Yeah.
So, like, the big question is, which current professional wrestlers, not just WWE, but AEW, NWA, Ring of Honor, who would make a good MMA fighter today?
Right. I mean, that's a good question. We see it go the other way a lot. Well, not a lot, but a fair amount. There's been some people.
From pro wrestling that go into MMA as well. I mean, from MMA going to pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling, yeah. Namely Ronda, and but yeah, it's like I don't know. I think it'd be easier to do that. I mean, I'm sure you might agree. It's someone who's a fan of UFC and whatever.
Well, the thing is, like, pro wrestling, it's choreographed, and people get hurt, but it's like it's still choreographed, and the matches are predetermined, and you're learned to like. It's like as an MMA, because everyone knows you as an MMA fighter. It's like you have to make it real, but at the same time, you have to protect your opponent and not hit him too hard. Well, it also depends on who you're in the ring with, because some wrestlers, they don't mind getting hit hard. Like some wrestlers, they're just like. They're like, hey, listen, man, when you get those when the camera zooms in, when you're in the, like they get in the corner and they're doing the, like some wrestlers, I mean, The Rock made it look real, Austin made it look real, and Mick Foley, like some wrestlers, they don't mind getting hit hard. They're like, hey, listen, man, when we're in the corner and the camera's zooming in on us, lay them in, man, lay them in.
Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. You have to have a certain amount of skills,
Well, let's see. Well, of course, there's Becky Lynch. I think she would make a good MMA fighter. In fact, her because she has done some MMA training. Like she did some over at in Ireland with John Kavanagh, and she's she has done some MMA training and herself, and
yeah.
I mean, she did some for like WrestleMania when she main evented last year's WrestleMania with Charlotte and Ronda.
Huh.
Yeah, and the triple threat match, and her trainer said that if Becky Lynch trained in MMA for 1 year, she would be she could make her an MMA fighter within 1 year of full training.
Yeah. Yeah. So right.
Yeah, I could probably see Becky doing that because I mean, of course, well, one, she's Irish. Irish people, they're tough.
Yeah.
And I mean, Becky, like for example, like Becky, she had she's the type of person that really doesn't like to. I mean, she doesn't mind getting hit hard. I mean, like
right.
Nia Jax, I mean, accidentally like broke her nose, broke her face, but Nia. But it made Becky even stronger because like she went into the audience and you see the blood and it just made her even bigger, and that's what led to her being in the main event at WrestleMania.
Okay.
But also Becky, like she's done a little like karate and she's done like movie martial arts training because she's also a stunt double as well. She was a stunt double for a while when her wrestling career was done because of her brain injury.
Okay.
And so like Becky, she's definitely someone I could see being an MMA fighter.
Okay.
Let's see. People from the Undisputed era, like Adam Cole, like he could definitely be an MMA fighter himself. Also, he's married to a former MMA fighter, Marina Sharif, who's part of the MMA Four Horsemen, along with Jessamine Duke, Shayna Blazer, and Ronda Rousey.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
as we've talked about before. Yeah.
Yep, and let's see who else. Well, I could also see. Well, I guess I could possibly still see Samoa Joe being there, but Samoa Joe, he's become like injury prone since coming to WWE.
Yeah.
I mean, he spent a lot of years in Ring of Honor and TNA, and he had like that strong style MMA background. I mean, I mean, I would say in his prime he would make for a great MMA fighter, but now because of the injuries and stuff, it's like I don't know if his body could be able to stand up to it. But also and I also say that because like before he got into pro wrestling, he was in judo. He did judo and as a youngster, and then when and after he got out of like athletics, he was doing he was doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and then the rest people from pro wrestling went into the jiu-jitsu academy, and then he started training in pro wrestling, and that's how he became a pro wrestler. And,
right.
And did Muay Thai. He actually trained in MMA with Justin McCauley and some of the guys from Tito Ortiz's camp, Team Punishment. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting. I mean, I mainly know about the early 2000s, like pro wrestling. I'd be interested to hear what you think of like who from then, like
well,
Jericho.
Jericho, he actually says that he because he's in AEW, he has this new move called the Judeus something. I don't know. It's like a spinning back elbow that he uses as a finish now.
Right.
Because I don't know. Have you seen Chris Jericho lately?
Not
his
lately,
body.
No.
It's more like a dad bod. It's like he's still in shape, but it's like a little like
right.
A little punky, and he has he says that he learned that by training in MMA and stuff like that. And I mean, Chris Jericho, I don't think would have. I mean, Chris Jericho said so himself. He said in interviews because people asked him like, would you have wanted to be an MMA fighter? He says no. But he says like, well, listen, my father was a hockey player, and like if I wanted to get physical and stuff, like I would have been in hockey. I'm not a fighter.
Right.
I mean, he's also been a bouncer too. He was a bouncer in nightclubs and stuff.
Yeah.
And he says like,
Yeah.
Because like he also like he knows how to do like a front chin lock, like a guillotine choke and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He actually did that on Bill Goldberg one time when they got into a fight in the backstage.
Right.
But when he was in WWE, but he says like, no, like I'm not an MMA fighter, I'm more of an entertainer, pro wrestling, if I wanted to be if I wanted to be a physical fighter or something like that, I'd still be doing hockey.
Interesting. Yeah. Let's see. The other thing, let's see. Oh yeah. What about John Cena? Because I know he's doing his whole,
Well,
he was doing his whole like fitness boot camp, whatever.
Well, yeah, he is physically fit and stuff like that. But John Cena says that he's not a fan of MMA. I mean, he says that he respects it for what they do and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's not. I mean, he can fight, but it's more like he's not like I mean, I'm sure he's like trains in boxing and stuff like that, but it's not like to the point where like I think he's more of a street fighter and stuff like that, but he's not like a real. He's somebody. I think if he got into MMA, he would probably been. He would look like a. You look like a big Philadelphia pretzel. Like those. See those big Philadelphia pretzels that are always wrapped around and stuff, like the kinds you see at the movie theater when you go get a pretzel. He would look just like that.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, there's Asuka. She's I heard that she has an MMA background, but I mean, she's someone who I could possibly see going to MMA as well. So as Shinsuke Nakamura. I mean, Shinsuke Nakamura, he wrestled in Japan, and also he was an MMA fighter, though he didn't reach the top. But he's someone that I could probably still see as being as an MMA fighter as well. Like Austin and Rock, they're not.
That's what I was gonna ask next. Yeah.
Well, Steve Austin and The Rock, The Rock. If The Rock got into MMA like earlier, like maybe he would have.
Yeah.
But I mean,
if he seems like the type. If he wanted to, and if he
and The Rock is a fan of the UFC too.
Yeah, exactly. He could demolish. If he wanted to, if he trained for it.
Yeah, I mean, The Rock is a fan of the UFC. In fact, when Jorge Masvidal won the baddest motherfucker title against Nate Diaz, Rock put the title around his waist. Yeah, so that's one thing. Jorge Masvidal. I mean, Masvidal is never going to win a world title, I think, in the UFC. But he can always look back and go like, hey, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, he wrapped the belt around my waist.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. That's something he can tell his kids and his grandkids. He's like, The Rock, he wrapped the belt around me. I was the baddest motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, also, but Steve Austin. I mean, Steve Austin talked about it too. He's gotten questions of like, would you, how would you have got, would you have loved to go into MMA and stuff? And he says like, how do you think you would? Have you ever thought about going to MMA? And he says, like, and Steve Austin's an MMA fan too. He's like, listen, I love MMA. I love the UFC and Bellator and all those things. And he says, like, listen, man, I've been beat up so many years from wrestling, and also I got bad knees. He has 2 bad knees. Like, remember, like in 2001, you saw him with the 2 knee braces. That's how he got the name the Bionic Redneck, because it's like. He's like the Bionic Man. It's like he got broken and then he got rebuilt, and he had 2 bad knees. He had bad knees going into WWE in his early years, like around 96, 97. And of course, by that time, by 2001, going into 2002, his career is pretty much done, all those injuries and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And Steve Austin, he said like, hey, listen, man, I can't he can't even do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's like, look, my knees are already bad. I'm getting surgery for my neck and my knees. And he says like, listen, I don't see a white belt. I don't see a black belt or a white belt in my future.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, I guess the point I'm trying to make, I'm trying to see if they could have done it back then, the early 2000s.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, in the early 2000s, like the UFC was still going through that. I mean, they weren't even on pay-per-view. They were on DirecTV. If you didn't have DirecTV, you couldn't watch UFC. And, it was still that, it was still a little after that witch hunt and stuff like that.
Yes.
It was like still popular. It was somewhat popular, but it was more like a cult following. It's kind of like, like those rock bands who have like cult followings, but they only get into the but then like they'll have one album or one song that'll get them into the mainstream.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Kind of like in, well, I don't know, like who in the 2000s around that time, like when we were in like middle school and high school, who had like the 2000s, like who had like the cult following, but also eventually got into the mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much know the 4 names that I've already said. Jericho,
Austin,
yeah. So I keep thinking of The Rock, but I meant to say Austin, Cena. Yeah, there's one more, but I can't put my finger on it. But yeah, anyway, so is that what you call the Attitude Era, by the way?
Yeah, the Attitude Era. Well, the Attitude Era ended in 2001. John Cena was, by the time Cena came around, like when he was like in just like in shorts and wrestling boots, like before the whole Thugonomics and all that stuff. That was the Ruthless Aggression era.
Right.
Yeah, in fact, he even said it, like when he came out when he made his debut against Kurt Angle, Kurt Angle says, well, what do you have? And John Cena goes, Ruthless Aggression. Slap Kurt Angle.
Nice.
Yeah, Kurt Angle is another one from the 2000s I think would have made a good MMA fighter. I mean, because he's an Olympic gold medalist, and and also like and he tried to get into MMA, but like no company was like willing to. Well, they tried to sign him on, but also he had a lot of injuries with it, neck injuries. I mean, he actually he won the Olympics with a broken neck, so it's like. I mean, his neck and his body, he was already shot to hell. So it's like, I mean, of course, I heard he works like backstage at WWE now. I think he's like an agent or something. But like, Kurt Angle, I mean, well, of course, around the 2000s, like I said, it was still like, the UFC, MMA, it was all, it was sort of more of a cult following underground, not much money to be made.
Right.
Unless you went into Pride or something. But I mean, but as far as today, I mean, I already mentioned who today would probably make a good, a good MMA fighter and stuff like that. I mean, I think, Bobby Lashley could still make an MMA fight. I mean, he was good in Bellator. He fought in Bellator for a while and stuff. But of course, after Bellator, he left and decided to go back to WWE, and he's somewhat done okay. It's like up, down sort of thing.
Right.
But, I mean, hopefully in 2020, I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with more pro wrestlers going to MMA or MMA fighters going to pro wrestling, sort of thing.
Exactly.
It's like, it's kind of like, that Kathleen Turner movie, Vi Frykowski, where she played the private detective?
No, I heard that.
It was in the 80s.
But I don't remember.
Yeah, well, she says that in the detective, she says, first of all, being a detective is like follow the money.
Right.
To get the bad guys. It's like, it's sort of like that thing now on the business side of MMA and pro wrestling. It's like, okay, follow the money.
Exactly. So we'll have to see as it goes on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I would love to see Becky Lynch as an MMA fighter. I mean, I would really love to see what she can do. And also, like, Ronda is still sort of MIA. I mean, there's sort of this thing. It's like, okay, is she gonna, she's still gonna make babies with Travis? Is she gonna leave WWE completely, or is she gonna come back? I mean, we'll have to see come 2020, because WrestleMania is not too far along. I mean, we're in December right now, and it's like January, February, March. We have 4 months before WrestleMania. So
yeah, exactly.
We'll have to see what happens.
All right.
So. Yep, and we're gonna end the show right there. Just so you guys know, Ringside with Matt and Gabe will be back December 23rd.
Yep.
No, wait, not December 23rd. We said December
21st. Saturday the 21st.
Yep, Saturday the 21st, and we'll be showing a double feature.
Right.
It is Sherry Leonard versus Wilfred Benitez, and Roy Jones Jr. versus James Toney. And as for January, we'll let you know. I mean, there was an episode I wanted to do for January, but me and Gabe will talk about that.
Yeah.
And
so tune in at 3 on Saturday the 21st on Facebook.
Yep, on Facebook. Tune in for that, and then also we'll be back next week, and then after that we're going to be taking a break because of the Christmas, and also Gabe has a little vacation himself. But what do we say? The second week of January we'll be back with a new episode of the Beantown Beatdown. So make sure you guys tune in for that as well, and. Also, Gabe, you got any plans for the holidays yourselves?
I mean, yeah, kind of. Christmas Eve, me and Michael are going to be doing something. So yeah, that's going to be big, and then there's something else. Early January, also. Trying to figure something out. Might do a trip.
Well, New Year's Eve, you and I are still gonna hang out, right?
Yeah, we're still good.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, I know you're gonna be like.
Let's wrap this up.
Okay.
We don't have to talk about this on
there. All right. Well, we'll end it there, and we'll be back next week at 12. We'll be back next week, 12:30, and that'll be it for now.
Yeah.
So from Beantown to your town, this is the Beantown Beatdown. Matthew Barris saying Happy Holidays.
Happy Holidays.
Yeah.